Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here basically we are discussing the investment which is 5 lakh crore done by the American group basically. So American group basically already told that basically to the space group basically we are basically giving 5 lakh crore to India basically. So one person told that basically if you are basically telling that basically you are number one, so you were supposed to do the plan na basically. You were supposed to prepare the project management plan basically, like the in software industry basically when you basically prepares the project management plan particular software, so they basically handles the entire software basically, which person is supposed to do which module, which person is supposed to do which module, which person is supposed to test the which module, how the data is going to come, how the data is supposed to be integrated, when this data has to become, when this data will come basically, that time basically what would be the performance of the projects. Up to that level projects are prepared basically. So here basically we are not going to that basically, that basically everybody, because these all are normal tasks basically of the software industry basically, like Infosys group, IBM, Wipro, this whole group basically are telling that this और ये तो भाई हमको पता है normal चीज. So we are not going to the normal task basically, because the normal task basically everybody knows basically. So here the stuff basically is uh, investment basically which is done basically, that is done by the India basically. So that was supposed to be done by American group basically. So American group told that basically we are human being basically. We are number one basically, that we agree. But हम भी इंसान है. इंसान means human being. So that also basically might be correct. Because you can't trust anybody basically. America basically say that basically भाई हम we are number one. So we don't trust any of the people basically. China group basically is telling that basically भाई we are number one. America is telling we are number one. So who is number one basically, that we don't know basically. But in front of the world it is America basically, that we know basically. So one person told that America just basically gives the money to India, but the control basically is of in which hand basically. So one of the person told that Microsoft basically project, assume that basically 1 crore Microsoft project is ongoing. So Microsoft Bill Gates basically is not having the control of Microsoft software development kit, that is .NET. He might be having that kit na basically. If he is telling that basically this Apple basically is Microsoft Apple, then basically he might not have kept the control basically with him basically. That time basically he was supposed to track, right, basically. That time also basically his mind basically told that no, sorry, his mind basically was not able to capture that basically there is something like text box. For that basically the subscription amount, that is the tax amount basically which he pays. So here basically the Indian, sorry, the um, American government also basically were failed in giving the tax detail information basically, that this is the 1,000 cities which basically the power supply comes to the America. That time basically the America sorry, the Microsoft basically gets the display of text box. When basically the 500 city basically gives the power supply, that time basically you can able to see the combo box. When basically 600 city basically gives the power supply, that time basically you can able to see the checkbox. When basically 700 control 700 city basically gives the power supply to the America, that time basically the radio button gets display, push button gets display. When basically the 300 power supply company, sorry, the 300 country basically gives the power supply to America, that time basically the Oracle database basically gets connects to the America. When basically the 200 city basically gives the power supply to the India basically, that time the Microsoft SQL server database basically gives the connection string basically to the Indian environment, so that time also basically nobody basically tracked that basically. One of the person told that basically your power supply company was supposed to track that basically, but power supply company no basically IT industry. They are not aware about the software basically. They only don't know that basically this is the power supply that basically you have to work. Because the main software basically, main computer, for example, HP computer is there, right? Basically. So that basically gets a special power supply. Dell computer basically gets special power supply. Microsoft also basically created his laptops, computers. That time also basically nobody basically tracked that basically. So here basically everything basically comes in the head of USA only basically, and that also the businessman basically, because they are investing the money basically. They are basically giving 5 lakh crore to India. They are giving 5 lakh crore to Indian basically. So they might be possible that basically they might be giving in charity basically. That possibilities are also there. They might be thinking that basically by take India basically. That's your money basically. That possibilities are there basically. So it might possible that basically Narendra Damodar Modi's friend basically Trump is there. So Trump might be telling, "Bhai, lai le paisa, lai le, 5 lakh crore lai le." Then the businessman basically told that basically what he told here, 5 lakh, 5 lakh crore lai le. Then basically he translated basically. That time basically he told that 5 lakh rupees, 5 lakh crore take basically. So they basically told 5 lakh crore take basically. That's basically the 5 lakh crore basically he's taking as a normal money. So one person told that basically 5 lakh crore basically he has given to Indian government basically. Sorry, the might possible that basically Indian government might be getting that money. And then basically the businessman basically might be using that money. And lots of people say that the businessmen basically which you can see now basically they are basically government people basically. That also lots of people say, but what is correct basically that we don't know. So here one person told that America basically told that basically the ball basically which we have that we have passed to India basically. So now space group basically is watching India. What actually Indian groups basically are doing in software companies. And 70% of people basically are sitting at home basically. And home address basically space group can't track basically what they are doing in at home basically. So one person told that in software company basically the power supply which they are passing, right, that is some different power supply basically. And the power supply which they are passing to the home basically that is different power supply. Because they have some doubt basically that by sitting at home basically doing the work of software they are safe, their buildings basically are safe, sorry their cities basically are safe. That might be possible that basically some group basically might have got the data that basically you set at home basically and nobody can track basically that this is the software group basically. That possibilities are also there. So we are not going to that basically up to that depth basically. That HR group has designed, so they will be responsible. So we are not going to that basically. So whoever basically designed, he will never come into front. That basically everybody knows because it's a risk basically which has taken basically. After this video basically I am 100% sure basically by mistake basically Space Center Group basically watched this video by mistake basically assume that basically they watched this video, then 100% they will pick America only. But one person told that how to communicate with space group basically. Because American group basically might be communicating with space. That is 100% sure basically. But that is possible. That might not be possible. So some group basically might be sitting at home and space environment basically might be created at the software and that because that is not possible basically. So we are not going up to that roadmap basically of the space and Earth planet. Otherwise basically lots of issue will convert. So here basically the stuff is the space group basically started communicating with the Americans. American told that basically India basically is getting the 5 lakh crore money basically. So pick the India basically. An Indian group basically say that basically we don't know basically the base company basically don't know that text box equal to 1,000 cities. Then basically how we know basically. So in next video basically we are going to